Hey guys, it's Ed Davis here, and today we're going to be discussing the infamous question: all Survivor fans have an opinion on final twos or final threes. Let's get started. I want to start by saying I've been watching Survivor since I was 8 years old. So for me, it's very easy to say this or this or that. Either way, it doesn't matter. So my main focus is figuring out which is better. Even though I'm not gonna lie, I do have a bias, but we'll get into that very shortly. So to start off with, I feel like there's obviously with final twos. We can start with final twos. For final twos, obviously it's 1v1, which when we're talking about a TV production, I think it's better to edit it one versus one. Because, and here's why. If you edit it 30 people, like let's say it's Final Tribal Council and you have 30 people, first of all, the editing and the time wise on like TV and stuff is really weird. Like, if it's two people, they're gonna have more time to talk to the jury, they're gonna have more time to explain the game. We're gonna see more about them as a person and understand why they did what they did at Final Trump Council. Because one of the massive things that, well, really, most Survivor fans, I say Australian Survivor fans because I'm Australian, so when I'm talking about Survivor, I'm normally talking about Australian Survivor, but just Survivor in general. Yeah, like, fans talk about, fans talk about the fact that when people go to tribal council and they vote for a winner, their instant reaction is, okay, what is this person going to say? If I'm on the jury and I want to vote for someone to win, I'm going to be thinking, okay, so let's say this person, person A picks their case, person B picks their case, person three picks their case. First of all, if there's three pictures, it's going to be harder for you to remember what each person said. So if you're on the jury, you're gonna be thinking, like everyone knows it's the same with like presentations and stuff. Everyone knows that the people who are most memorable are the people who either go first or go last. And I think it's the same with doing pictures to a jury. I think that if someone pitches to you in the final three, like, hey, this is what we're doing, I don't think that's gonna work. As for final two, you have one person versus one person. Here's the thing. Do you want to say that you were a third using place finalist, or do you want to say it that you came runner up? Those people who tie in a survivor, people who get equal second and third place. No one wants to be equal in second and third or third place. Okay, you want to be like I got second or I got third. I know for me, I wouldn't want to be like, oh yeah, I got tied second. If it was like a 5 to 4 jury vote in the end, I'd be like, oh, that's embarrassing. As for final turns, normally the jury would be consisted of 9, 11, or 13 people, depending on the season or international, whatever. I've seen lots of variations, okay? Obviously, sometimes they have equal jury members, sometimes they have uneven jury members, so it really just depends. I also think that when you're hyping up a promo, like the finale of a series, think about all the best rivalries. Not in Survivor, just in life. Like, Batman and. Well, they're not rivals. They're more like friends, but you know what I mean. Like, Batman and Joker, rivals. Like, think about every rivalry that's ever happened in TV show or movies or any of that stuff. Every single one consisted of two people, not three. There's a reason why duos work better than trios. Okay? Duos are memorable, trios are not. Okay? Whenever it's a final three, you are always going to get at least one done person. In Survivor Winners at War, in the 40th season of Survivor, people didn't vote Michelle to win because not because they didn't want to vote Michelle to win. People didn't vote Michelle to win because they felt like by voting Michelle, they were throwing away their vote. They felt like they were throwing away their vote. They felt like they were throwing away their vote because everyone knew it was between Natalie and Tony. Everyone knew that either one of them was winning. So they didn't want to waste their vote on Michelle, and they thought that their vote would actually matter. And yes, in a lot of ways, Michelle also had no control in the second, well, 40, in Survivor 40, and we can get into that another time. But like, for the most part, a lot of the jury did say after the fact that yeah, I liked Michelle. I wanted to vote for her to win, but I knew she wasn't going to get the votes. And like, first of all, for Michelle, that's awful. Like, if I was Michelle and that happened to me, and I was told, "Oh, sorry, you like the you it's not, but we're not voting for you to win because we want our votes to actually matter." It's like, ouch, like, are you serious? That's what screwed me over? It wasn't because, like, I played a bad game, it was because they felt like their vote wouldn't matter. Like, imagine that, you're Michelle. Your first season, a lot of people, everyone knows the controversy where Michelle was talking it. Everyone thought that Michelle didn't deserve to win, put it that way. Everyone thought Michelle didn't deserve to win. And yes, I have opinions about Michelle and her game and whatever, but that's not what this podcast is about. It's about the fact that Final Threes, normally 99% of the time, they have one person who's never going to win, who's never going to get a jury vote, where it's basically just like, oh, this person is going to use, and we're going to basically knock them to their face. And if you're the third person, like the person who gets third, how embarrassing is that? That's humiliating. Like, yes, you're playing a game, and yes, like, it's Survivor, but at the same time, you don't want to like literally embarrass these people because it's on national television. You know what I mean? Like, people are gonna see this. Yeah, think about multiple Final Threes where one person that got like 0 votes. Like Xander 41, he got 0 votes, or like I'm pretty sure, yeah, Missy got 1 vote, and it was from her daughter in Send That One Sir. Let's see, who else? This is just memory, guys. I don't have the best memory, even though I am a Survivor fan. Let's see, who else? Dylan, I think he got 1 vote, maybe in Redemption, or it was unanimous from one of the two. Either way, it's like one of these things that people are talking about. Like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. Or like, what about Survivor Millennials versus Gen X? Ken and Ken and Hannah, Ken and Hannah did not get jury votes, and they equally tied for third. What about Survivor Second Chance? Spencer and Tasha, once again, tied for second and third. Like, I feel like it just destroys the momentum of this show. It destroys the whole purpose of it being like oh, who's gonna win? Like, it does, and I know that this is supposed to be talking about, like, the pros and cons about each of them, but honestly, it's my podcast, I can talk about whatever the hell I want. I feel like Final Threes are great if here's the thing, but the finale as Final 3 is good. The finale as Final 4 is awful. The finale as starting with Final 3 is fine. I think that's amazing. And then you eliminate someone, and then you have your final two, who play to the jury and pick one and deserve to win, blah, 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 blah. But the final three, nah, it's not memorable. It's not. Like, 99% of the time, you're going to get 2 goats in the end who have done nothing, or at least one person who's done nothing, who doesn't deserve to be here, who was carried, which you could say is Survivor, and that happens in most seasons. There's normally 1 or 2 people who get there's a few people who normally get far because they aren't good at Survivor. And yes, that does go into it. However, there is a difference from that normally happening to just straight up being like, okay, this person is whatever, you know? Because obviously there's archetypes and people's perceptions on people in the game, where especially for older people, there's a lot of stereotypes in survival where they're not great and they can be voted off early, or they get to the end and they're perceived as done nothing in the game. Whatever, you know? Either way, Final Twos are just like they're amazing. They're amazing. And I've spoken to this about with my friends before. I've literally been like final two, final three. Jeff Probst. I like Survivor. I really do. I like CBS Survivor. I like USA Survivor. But what you're not gonna do is tell me that final threes are better because they're not. Jeff Probst. I understand that you don't necessarily understand the show in the same way that's like mega fans like me would know, you know? Or what I like to call myself the number one Survivor fan, but obviously a lot of people call themselves that. But for me, I've never met a bigger Survivor fan than I am. So, and I've met a lot of people in the all community and in just in general, you know, there's a lot of like reality TV show communities out there, podcasts, whatever. I feel like in order to save Survivor, they need to go back to Final Twos. They need to go back to Final Twos because, first of all, I understand it's a budget thing. I understand that they're like, oh, but we can't go to Final Two. We can't go back to Final Two because we save money and it's less time and resources for the production team. No, yes, it is less money, and yes, it is less time for the production team, and I get that. However, if we're gonna sit here and pretend that these people, aka like the TV show people, aren't making good like if we're gonna sit here and pretend like Final Threes are better, like we're joking, we're joking. Like clearly you don't understand your TV show if you think Final Threes is better. Like no. Like, there's a reason why 1v1s are so cool in boxing and wrestling and, like, literally anything good in not good in life, but, like, good in general is one-on-one, okay? There's a reason why you can only have one winner in Survivor. There's a reason why there are normally 2 tribes in Survivor, but more recently in CBS Survivor, aka USA. In America, there has been 3 tribes, but that is also another discussion we will get into another time. But yes, I feel like Final Twos, when they happen, I feel like, first of all, if I got on, when I get on Australian Survivor, am I gonna be thinking to myself, I really hope that I make it to Final 3? Or am I gonna be thinking to myself, Final 2? I think Final 2 sounds so much cooler and better for promos, for trailers, for advertisements than to be like Final 3. Final 3? Bro, this isn't the Three Musketeers, okay? We ain't. There is no trio here, okay? Like, I understand it's also probably just like a thing where it's like, oh, we want to make it where people don't get robbed because in CBS Survivor, a lot of the time, fan favorites go out right near the end in fourth. You know, like Aussie and Cook Islands. Well, no, not Cook Islands. Sorry. But Aussie and in like South Pacific and a bunch of other people. You know, like there's a lot of times where like fan favorites will get cut right at the end, and they're like, "Oh, we don't want to do that," and that's also why they introduced the fire making at Final Four with Ben. But obviously, I don't think that's a good twist. But we can also get into that another time. I feel like, let's say it's a Final Three. If it's 2 people, you can easily talk about how bad someone's game is in like 5 seconds and hype yourself up. If it's 3 people, it's going to take you double the effort to talk about the 2 people you're sitting next to say that I deserve to win. it's more effort in the sense that, like, I mean, I'm gonna be completely honest. Like, I feel like if I was a using finalist, I would rather say that I got second than I say that I got third. And I know it's like, but when you lost, so what difference does it make? The difference is like it just it just matters. Put it that way. Like when you have in TV shows and movies, there's normally good guys and bad guys. Normally, the good guy wins. In Survivor, there's two sides. Two sides. But sometimes in Survivor, there are more than two sides, which is good for Big Brother in the sense that you're like, there's three sides of the house, which is better at TV. But for Survivor, it's horrible. It's awful. And same with Big Brother. Like, yes, for final twos, for final threes, it ruins the format. It genuinely does. Because yeah, it's the whole thing with like split votes in Survivor. It's like, oh, we're gonna put 4 votes on this person and 3 votes on this person, and then 3 people in the minority alliance can even if they have an idol, one of them will still go home. Blah blah blah, whatever. Right? It's like, okay, that's great, but that's not how this works. So yeah, that's really what my rant was about today. I wish I could have made it a bit younger, but this is just kind of on the spot. Because I'm just sick and tired of seeing people out there pretending like Final Threes are better. They're not better, okay? Like, they're not better. Like, even is better. Come on, guys. Even numbers. Even numbers. Even numbers. That's like saying that you should start off with like 17 castaways instead of 18. You hear how ridiculous that sounds? You hear how unfair that sounds? You hear how bogus that sounds? It's like when people are like, oh, it doesn't matter about like gender alliances and whatever else. It's like, oh, it's fine if it's like 5 guys and 4 girls. No, no, okay. People care about gender equality. People care about that stuff. And but and it's the same with Survivor. Like the fans, the real fans, actually care about that stuff. And I'm not afraid to say my opinion on it because I think if Survivor is going to continue, we need to save it. We need to save it. Us real ones out there have to be the ones who are like, no, this is what you need to do. You want to know why your show is failing? Because you're not doing this. Do this and it will work. So yeah, thanks for watching my rant. And till next time, we'll have another rant soon. So peace.